I know. I just said in the open, everything football. But for today, class, get your pencils and pens out. We are going to take a look at the pennant race with just basically less than 2 weeks left to go in the regular season. Now, there mathematically, there mathematically is 25 teams that are still potentially involved here. There's no way the 25 teams by the end of this month are still going to be battling for first and foremost the chance to win their division and potentially some wild card situations. We're going to go over those scenarios for you. Okay. So let's begin with the National League. Okay. Now, the Milwaukee Brewers have flown under the radar, which is almost impossible to do, but they have as the Central Division leader, and not by, I mean, they basically are 5.5 games ahead of anybody coming into this particular situation coming this weekend. I see that Matthew has joined us, and Matt, we'll bring you on here in a second. And welcome. We just started, so
Well,
you haven't missed much. I said that the Open says everything football except for today. Today it's talking baseball,
yeah,
and here's the thing. All right, we'll start off with. I was just mentioning how Milwaukee's kind of flown under the radar. They're the best team in the National League, you know, and 5.5 games ahead in the Central. The key stat for them, they're plus 135 in run differential, and that puts them in a 99 percentile for the playoff possibilities. So that's about as big of a lock as you can get, 99 percentile.
yeah.
Uh, I love baseball. It's my 52nd year covering baseball, and I um, I love this time of the year because there's so much you don't know is going to happen, right? A
Yeah.
team can get hot, and all of a sudden they're the number one team rolling into the playoffs, regardless of what has happened in the past. So I think this time of year is really one of my favorite times of year to watch baseball. I mean, there's almost a meaningful game every day, all the way from now to the end, and it begins. I know you're a Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
So it begins for you guys in that weekend series with the Yankees coming up.
Yeah, no, it's a I would say right now it's not exactly the most exciting time to be a Red Sox fan, just
Hmm.
because of the cliff that they feel like they've kind of fallen off after the Roman Anthony injury.
Hmm.
Um, they've gotten better. Part of that is the competition they've been playing. They went out and they lost 2 out of 3 to Arizona. That's the first full series after Roman's injury, but now they're playing the Athletics, and they've won the first two. They've already won the series against them,
Hmm.
and it's going to be if the Red Sox are going to do anything this year, it's going to be fully based on how their pitching staff performs.
Hmm.
Starting rotation's been much better than people kind of anticipated coming into the year. Crochet's Garrett Crochet's been doing exactly what people thought he would do. But Lucas Giolito and Brian Bayo have come on really strong, and now they're kind of banking on a couple of younger arms. After the trade deadline acquisition of Dustin May didn't really pan out, he's on the 15-day IL now. And Walker Buehler, the offseason signing that they were banking on, kind of turning it around, is now in AAA for Philadelphia. So
Yeah. Go
it,
ahead. I'm sorry.
they through the first coming into this athletic series, the Red Sox through the first 6 innings uh, of every game post Roman Anthony injury had scored 1 run. It was
Good.
not pretty on offense. Yeah, he was kind of it's odd to say that a 21-year-old rookie was your best and most key player, but he
Right.
was the Red Sox.
Hmm.
The offense has struggled to find their footing. The injury bug's bitten them position player wise. Um, so it's kind of they're trying to piece things together. They're going to get some guys back. William Abreu is going to come off the IL this week, I believe.
Yeah.
But they right now I would say they're firmly planted in probably like 5th place in the AL race, all things considered.
Yeah. I mean, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say behind the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Astros, and the Tigers.
Yeah. That all said, it still looks like, basically avoiding an absolute and total catastrophe, is that they are going to be a playoff team.
Yeah. No, they'll still be a playoff team. That's not really the concern. The concern is going to be come playoff time, what does that offense look like? Or is it going to fully rely on we need 6-7 strong out of our starters and our bullpen can't let up? You're going to need some more consistent offensive output because you're going to get every team's best pitching.
Yeah.
The way postseason games are managed versus the way regular season games are managed are two very different things. And if they're struggling to score runs in the regular season, then getting a team's best night in and night out is going to make it exponentially more difficult to put up good numbers offensively.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I think that with regard to the Red Sox, as I look at them, okay, making the playoffs is a good thing for them because they continue to grow. They've got a lot of young players on the team as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to tell you, you know that. You just referenced probably their best. It's not a bad thing for a team to get into the playoffs and get a feel for it and get a taste of it so that next season these kids, along with the guys they have with veteran players, get a feel for this kind of play, and once you taste it, you want it again. And I think that's if I'm a Red Sox fan, my takeaway is okay. Let's make it to the playoffs. Once we get there, chips fall where they may. You never know what's going to happen. But that being said, they're going to learn from it. And I think this is, there are teachable moments, and this might be one for Red Sox fans.
Yeah, and I was very much throughout a majority of the season, I was very much in the camp of like, I would like to make the playoffs. I would like these guys to go get that experience under their belt. But then kind of as the season unfolded, you started to look and say, well, the AL is gettable now. Like there's not that every team you look down the teams that are going to make the playoff.
Sure.
Every team has holes. There's not like this is the clear favorite. I think right now people would probably point to the Yankees, and I would say rightfully so, as being the favorite in the AL. But you saw an AL that was gettable, especially if people do hold the Yankees in the highest regard. Well, the Red Sox were 8-2 against them this year, so up until this point. So I think the Roman kind of like it hurt a little more based off what you saw post, just purely off the fact that it felt gettable this year with the way your pitching staffs performed, and especially the back end of that bullpen. Garrett Whitlock's been fantastic, and then you've got Aroldis Chapman, who's been literally untouchable since the middle of July.
It's been like, he's risen like Lazarus. I mean, this is, there was a time when you could have had Aroldis Chapman for, a second baseman you didn't use. But he's he's done a fantastic job at rehabilitating his career.
Mm-hmm. And he claims it's because he never thought to locate his fastball. I don't know how true that is. And if it is, man, who let this guy throw in 102? Just be like, yeah, man, just try and throw it down the middle. Sure.
Yeah, just throw it and not hit the batter with it. That's what we're going for.
Yeah. So it's. But I will say in terms of the Red Sox, they got a little more support last night from young pitching as well. Connolly early went out. He pitched 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, struck out 11 in his first start in the majors. So, and him combined with Peyton Tolley, who's had one good start, one bad start, they're promising young arms that if they are going to make a run in the postseason, they're kind of going to have to rely on those arms.
Well, there's no question about that, and I think that what's interesting to me is that what's going on throughout American League Baseball. I'm sorry, my producer just walked through
Oh,
my chroma key shot. Anyway, so here we go. Uh, you know, it's I kind of like Detroit. I do. I mean, I didn't think I would, but the more I look at that team, the more solid that team really is.
yeah,
And they might be. It's hard to believe that a team that's done so well throughout the entire season is kind of like the dark horse in the race.
I would say I think my best dark horse is whoever kind of gets that last wild card spot. If it's Seattle, I think they're probably the scariest team of them all because it feels like they're probably the most complete team, yet somehow their results haven't really matched. Their
Mhm.
rotation's fantastic. The back end of their bullpen's really good, and their lineup is much more complete after the deadline when they went out and got Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez.
Right.
Now, they've kind of faltered, and Cal Raleigh hasn't played as well in the second half, specifically batting average wise. He's still hitting home runs, but I think he's only batting somewhere in the 200 neighborhood, which just isn't going to get it done for a guy that has been in the AL MVP race. I'm not sure if that second half is going to be able to win him the award.
Right. I think he was sitting. I saw a stat list. I think he's sitting like 225, something like that.
Yeah.
So he's just above the Mendoza line, but he's still
Yeah.
okay in that regard.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that uh, my only hesitation with the Mariners is they've done this before. Okay,
Mhm.
we have been teased by this Mariner team. Seemingly, if you're a Mariners fan, year after year after year, that they have the horses to make it, they just don't do it. And so, maybe just maybe for them, this is the year that they can do it. I don't think they will, but you know, it is what it is. I think that
Well,
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
yeah, I think the difference that Mariner fans kind of look at this year versus the last few is the
Uh-huh.
fact that in the offseason, they weren't really willing to go out and supplement their roster offensively
Right.
in terms of a bat. That's part of the reason Justin Turner's in Chicago. He
Mhm.
stated as such. He said they didn't want to add, and
Mhm.
so he didn't feel like he was a part of a winning organization. Well, that changed. Something changed throughout the season. They liked what they were seeing out of the roster, and they
Mhm.
went and added Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor. And
Right.
those guys can be really key pieces. And Josh Naylor in specific can be like he can be a spark plug for an offense, really. And they feel like they have a complete lineup. I know the
Mhm.
pieces haven't come together, but getting into the postseason, if they get into the postseason,
Mhm.
that's when I feel like they're most dangerous. But they got to get there first.
Yeah. And right now, if you're a Mariners fan, it looks pretty good, but they've seen things happen in the past. Uh, I understand and appreciate your hypothesis. I, however, have not the expectations that the Mariners are going to get there, which
Yeah.
probably means they'll win the World Series. But nevertheless, it's that's the way that goes. I um, the Dodgers and the Padres.
Mhm.
That I think is a very interesting situation. Um, Obviously, the Giants and the Dodgers have a rivalry that goes back over 100 years.
Mhm.
You've got, but you've got that little 90-mile distance from Dodger Stadium to Petco Park, and they have a rivalry now, which has been cultivated over a few years. Not on the level of the Giants, but just not, just a tick below it. Um, and that I think is going to be interesting to see how that plays out because the Dodgers, they they have had some pitching issues,
Mhm.
and but as we talked about yesterday for just a brief period of time, they were able to win a World Series without really their best starter.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like half their starting rotation. You know, you look at the start of the year for the Dodgers, you're like, wow, look at that rotation,
Mhm.
look at that bullpen. Man, I don't know how anybody's going to be able to score runs, and then they just start dropping like flies. You know,
Yep.
bullpen arms, starters, all of them, they have some kind of injury that comes up, and I think part of that's the result of kind of their pitching program and
Mhm.
just the emphasis that they put on spin rate.
Right.
But then, come postseason time, you look up and you're like, okay, well, all those guys that
Mhm.
were dropping like flies, now they've managed them the right way. They're healthy. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. And they have, one of the best lineups, if not the best lineup in baseball. So
Right.
now not only do we have to score runs on what is a now healthy rotation and bullpen,
Mhm.
but now we also have to stop that lineup from scoring runs. And Mookie Betts hasn't been the same this year.
Right.
He hasn't produced the same level of production, but it feels like towards this latter half of the season, he's kind of started to get it going again. And you can see it where it's like, okay, the Dodgers are too talented to have what anyone would consider like a poor regular season.
Mhm.
And I would say relative to what they did last year and what they've done in the recent years, this would be considered a little more poor result
Right.
in the regular season, but they're still going to make the postseason. And that's all they care about is they get to the postseason. As long as they get to the postseason
Mhm.
and they're healthy and they have, healthy arms,
Mhm.
rested arms, and a lineup that's starting to turn the corner in the right direction, then, they're still the best team in baseball because of the way they're built. The
I
Padres,
watched. Oh, go ahead.
the Padres though, that the way, I mean, they went all in at the deadline.
Mhm.
They needed a first baseman. They went
Yep.
out and got Ryan O'Hearn. They needed a left fielder. They got
Mhm.
Ramon Laureano with Ryan O'Hearn.
Right.
They're back into the bullpen. For some reason, one of the best bullpens in baseball wasn't good
Mhm.
enough for who is it, Preller over there? AJ Preller?
AJ Proler. Yeah.
Yeah. So he went out and got Mason Miller for the number 3 prospect in baseball
Mhm.
and Leo DeVries. And now that bullpen, the back end of that bullpen seems unhittable because when the Red Sox were at full strength, they had to go to San Diego. They
Mhm.
couldn't do anything against that bullpen. It was tough sledding.
Well, they
It,
then that's that. You could almost say for the San Diego Padres that their bullpen pretty much has put them where they are right now,
mhm.
because they've had slumps and not been able to do anything, but the bullpen's kept them in games. A couple
Yeah.
quick things as we're talking about. We were talking about the Dodgers and the Padres. The fact that the Dodgers went into um, this past I want to say it's a week to 10 days. They had back-to-back no hitters in the ninth inning and
Really.
lost the one lost one and lost. They both lost the not only the no hitter but the game,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
I saw the
Uh,
one in Baltimore. I
mhm,
didn't see the other one though.
yeah. The ironically, the last team to do it was the Montreal Expos, and the Expos, um, as I say, ironically, were playing the Dodgers. And in the second game, um, Oral Hershiser took a no hitter along with I forget who the second pitcher was. Dennis Martinez got the no hitter for the Expos, but whoever was in the rotation behind Martinez pit, pitched a no hitter, as did um, the Dodgers as they went into the ninth inning, and neither came out with a no hitter, and
Mm.
for and they went into extra innings, and so at least Oral Hershiser didn't take a loss in that game, so that was that was a good thing with them. Um, you know, let's see. We were just talking about the Red Sox and the Yankees getting together this weekend, and the Dodgers and the Giants are getting together this weekend.
Mhm.
I and as a Red Sox fan, I respect what's going on. I I I think that the Dodgers and Giants rivalry, personally, to me, is a much better rivalry than the Yankees and Red Sox. And I say that because until recently, the Red Sox haven't done anything when they played the Yankees. Now they have. Now they've won a World Series. Now they've got hell. They've got you know You got cockier Red Sox fans than you got Yankees fans, which I never thought I'd see that day.
Don't sell the Yankees fans short. Don't worry, they're
I'm
fun.
not selling them short. I'm just
They're
saying,
free Jackie Robinson rings. They love those.
yeah. I'm not selling them short. What I'm saying is this, and that is, without question, the the idea prior to the winning of the first World Series, they were always thought of as the team that people felt sorry for. Like, oh, gosh, if only the Red Sox could pull it out. Much like the Cubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were lovable losers. Once they turned that corner and won, there was an entirely different generated situation with the fan base where, the Red Sox fans were for more than happy to cause grief to Yankees fans. And, it's kind of like been an entire turn, which, by the way, look, you did what you did. They won World Series. Good on them. If you want to, and the Yankees haven't won one in a long time, so you got bragging rights, and earned bragging rights, not just bragging rights. The Dodgers and the Giants, have accounted for so many National League titles and played each other so many times. And, the Giants are behind, obviously, the Dodgers, but they beat the Dodgers. So I just think that rivalry, because on par of 100 years, which the Red Sox and the Yankees, going all the way back to the famous, Babe Ruth trade, it's been a little more one-sided. And I think that because of the East Coast bias, we get to see the Red Sox and the Yankees a lot. We don't get to see the Dodgers and the Giants a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think those are the two best rivalries in baseball. I never bought into the Chicago St. Louis one because it just didn't. Yeah, I mean, do they hate each other? Yeah, fine,
Yeah.
but it doesn't register on the Richter scale as a Red Sox Yankees situation or Dodgers Giants situation.
Yeah, similar with I think the NL East has I think they've got some good rivalries, but again, they don't really hold like the Braves and the Mets. I think is good. The Phillies and the Mets, Phillies and Braves, all those teams they rotate. Obviously, they don't like
Yeah,
each other.
right.
But none of them reach the same level. And to the point of people having East Coast bias and getting to see the Red Sox and the Yankees a
Mhm.
lot more, I will be more than happy if ESPN wants to take Sunday Night Baseball. I don't know if
Mhm.
they're playing in LA or the Bay, but if they want to take Sunday Night Baseball out to California, please God, take it out to California.
Yeah.
Don't pick up the Red Sox and the Yankees. I can't stand listening to an ESPN broadcast of really a Yankees game in general. I mean,
Right.
the last one they had, the Yankees were down to the Red Sox by, it felt like an unreachable kind of deficit. And
Right.
man, they're sitting there drooling over how Aaron Judge named his daughter and how it's Aaron spelled backwards. It's like, oh my Lord. God,
Just
can we I get that it's not a close game and we got to get some filler, but man, you gotta do something better than this. You'd think, the Red Sox were losing or something like that. No, but I do understand in the context of over 100 years body of work
right.
that the Dodgers and the Giants probably have a little more. But I do think I think things are always in the what have you done for me lately
Sure.
kind of framing. And so,
Mhm.
I think going back to, the mid 2010s and a little bit earlier there when
Mhm.
the Giants kind of went on that run where they were winning one like what was it like every other year or something like that
Yeah.
for a period of 6 to 8 years somewhere in there.
So,
I
yeah,
think
something in that
I
regard.
think
Mhm.
that would help maybe even strengthen that rivalry,
Mhm.
but just in terms of like success now, it, it feels like the teams and talking about both rivalries in specific,
Uh-huh.
right now it feels like when one's up, the other's down.
Mhm.
Both ways.
Mhm.
You had a little period there in like the 16, 17, 18 where the Red Sox and Yankees were pretty much on level ground.
Mhm.
But like as the Dodgers have really started to make as the Dodgers saw their window open and poured
Mhm.
all their resources in, the Giants haven't been what they were in the mid 2010s
Mhm.
by any measure either.
No, and Um, the interesting part of that is that every one of the World Series that the Giants won, they won as a wild card, and they didn't win. I'm talking about recent years. Um, they they finished second to the Dodgers. So it was kind of one of these things where the Dodgers win the regular season, and the postseason belonged to the Giants,
Mhm.
and that's good. And funny you bring up the ESPN situation. They're not. They've obviously opted out. If you know,
Mhm.
if you've been paying attention to anybody paying attention to the situation, ESPN got upset with Major League Baseball, thinking they were overpaying for what they were getting. They wanted a give back. Um, Leagues do not give back money. Okay,
Yeah.
it's just not against. It's totally against their religion. It's not going to happen. So ESPN will not be carrying Sunday Night Baseball next year. Will be on NBC.
Well, I saw that Sunday Night Baseball next year will be on NBC, but didn't ESPN circle back around and now they have a new deal for a
Um,
different
the
weeknight game?
no, what they did is they bid on and received the ability to work with Major League Baseball on the MLB TV package. Okay, so um, it's not at the moment because there's no they can't renegotiate because you got the contracts are up in 2028.
Mhm.
So ESPN had an opt out in the contract uh, up to this year. In other words, they had to decide this year whether they wanted to go to 2028 or not.
Yeah.
They walked off it and left it.
Mhm.
NBC, the real announcement, which hasn't quite been made yet, although everybody seems to know it, is that NBC will have Sunday Night Baseball. The Friday night game, which was on Apple, is going to go to Peacock. So
Mhm.
Peacock gets that, and and
Anything better than Apple.
yeah. Well, I mean, their announcers are pretty much the same, guys over and over again, who no one really knows.
Yeah.
But no, I think what ESPN did is, well, I don't look. Do I believe that they won't that ESPN won't have baseball? No, of course they will. What that is going to be basically managed on what they want to do with it,
Yeah.
because Manfred wants to get a deal like Adam Silver got, which was $76 billion.
Mhm.
There is no way in hell that networks are going to pay for baseball at 76,
Yeah.
billion dollars. So you know if they can come in the 50, 60 range, I think they'll be happy. Um, it's a lot of money, but it's you're going to see a great deal more of consolidation.
Yeah.
So there, baseball may have 4 or 5 media partners when the dust settles in 2028.
Yeah, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think part of baseball's problem
Mhm,
really relies on the fact that they're somewhere in the middle. I feel like NBA kind of dominates a an international market
mhm,
that baseball doesn't have the same draw with.
mhm,
And when it comes to the NFL and college and football in general, it dominates the US in a way
mhm,
that baseball also doesn't. So it's not like they have, not like they have bad numbers in either market,
mhm.
but they're just kind of in the middle. So you're not the top at either. You're just somewhere in between.
Right, they're ahead of the NHL,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, the um, the deal that you talked about with regard to the NBA. Um, Not that I want to hawk this, but uh, um, Anthony, Anthony. Uh,
Adam Silver.
um, no, I was about to choke for a second. Pardon me for getting some water here. Evan Weiner and I wrote a book on Commissioner David Stern, and we both had the pleasure of knowing David really well.
Mhm.
I would argue that David's probably the smartest commissioner in sports at the time he was there.
Yeah.
he took the Olympic Dream Team to Barcelona, and I happened to be there, you know, doing work as a
Mhm.
director at that time. Adam, I mean, as you call, many people recall, the Dream Team went over there and just obliterated everybody.
Yeah.
You had guys in the middle of the game asking, players on that team to autograph their jerseys. So it was a pretty amazing thing. But that being said, at a press conference, people, you know, press from all over the world said to David Stern, "Are you happy that that you're dominating, right?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm happy that we're dominating, but if we do this right, um, 10 years from now, we might be a bronze medalist and not a, he says, my goal is to spread this whole league worldwide.
Mhm.
And I don't think anybody did a better job of doing that um, than David did. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I was in Paris and you could buy all kinds of NBA jerseys of whomever you wished.
Yep.
Good luck trying to find an NFL jersey or a Major League Baseball shirt. It ain't gonna happen. So the brilliance of David was that he realized that he had a sport which all you needed was a ball and a basket, and that a sizable chunk of the international um, groups enjoyed basketball and enjoyed playing it. So he had an infrastructure there. He just had to cultivate it. And I think what we've seen with the drafts of the players from France and other countries proves that David was smart enough to realize you can't. He's not going to grow the game anymore in the United States, but he has to
Mhm.
grow it, and can grow it overseas. And so he wasn't such a myopic person that he could. He saw things. He also was the first guy to put the playoffs on cable, which was thought to be heresy. But the championship game obviously was not,
Mhm.
but the playoff games were. So there's been a lot of ripping off of what David had done, and one of the major people involved in that was Bud Selig when Bud did his baseball thing. So
Mhm.
I
It-
think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, you said ripping off of what David did is, I mean, you see it now with both Major League Baseball and the
Hmm.
NFL.
Right.
They both carry multiple international series,
Hmm.
roughly multiple international
Hmm.
series a year. I know baseball has the Soul series that they've done, I think, the
Hmm.
past 2 years with the Dodgers.
Right.
I think they've done one in Mexico City. I know
They
they've done
did.
one in
Yeah.
London.
Hmm.
Same thing with the NFL. They got South.
Australia. Remember they played. They played in Australia on cricket fields.
No, I didn't remember that.
Yeah. Mhm.
But now, like the NFL this year has Germany. They got Sao Paulo. Um, Obviously going to London. I
London.
believe they're
Right.
going to Ireland.
Yeah.
So they're trying to expand their international markets. I don't know to what success they're doing. I think the NFL is probably having a little more success with that than the MLB is right now.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're in a Caribbean country or that situation, then you're
Yeah,
going to get baseball. If
yeah.
you're over in Europe, where they don't play baseball,
Mhm.
yeah, you're going to get a better result with that whole situation from those standpoints. And I think that they've what the NFL did do is identified where they do have traction and
Yeah.
where they can build on it. And I think that's Major League Baseball to a lesser degree. The players that come there come from the Caribbean and come from you know some some South American countries.
Mhm.
And now Australia is getting into the game as well, but
Yeah.
not as much. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that you have to look at it, global game, and there's still a lot of people who are tied in really well and like, Major League Baseball. And this is the time of year when people actually start paying attention to it. The
Yeah.
casual fan, the fan who loves the team, Okay, you do it all the time. However, those who are just casual fans, this is when they start paying attention to it.
Yeah, which I find, and I I know I'm probably different than a more casual fan, but
Hmm.
like baseball gets me through summer, kind of
Hmm.
a
Right,
thing. Baseball and golf, they bridge the gap between football essentially
right.
for 'em. When the NFL when that Super Bowl ends, it's like, all right,
Pack it up.
spring spring training's right around the corner.
Right,
Some bigger golf tournaments are starting. Like that, the baseball gets me through, and well, at least the past few years, it's been easier for me not to focus as much on baseball when this time comes around
right,
because now we've got. Oh, I got a levitating head now. Um, because now I've got football back and the Red Sox have been awful. And
right,
even though I've struggled through the dog days of summer and watched
right,
this terrible baseball team, okay, now I've
right,
got something a little better that I can turn on. And
right,
I know we're not in the I've known we weren't in the playoffs, so it didn't matter. But now this year I've stayed much more tuned in simply because of the success of the baseball team, which maybe criticize, maybe not for fair weather fandom there, but I've suffered through them for the past few summers, and I think it's interesting that people start paying attention when the market gets more saturated with sports. Now
hmm, right. I mean,
they'll
there's
have they'll have
and
more competition this September as well because the
oh yeah,
Raptors being played.
right. And you've got the what is it? The end of October, the NBA starts.
Hmm.
So and National Hockey League, but so yeah, the competition in October is really brutal.
Yeah.
But baseball has maintained uh, solid ratings during that time, and
Mhm.
a lot of the time they schedule things to avoid head-to-head competition with the NFL or head-to-head competition with potentially 6 different college sports football games in one day. Um,
Yeah.
so they do their best to make that work, but
Hmm.
when you have marquee matchups like you did last year with the Dodgers and the Yankees, you're going to get numbers
Yeah.
because it's like every other sport, Matt. In at least in my estimation, um, you you say you want to see the you say you want to see the underdogs, right? You want to see the
Mhm.
Milwaukee's make it. You want to see Oakland or Anaheim or pick a team
Yeah.
make it, but you really don't. You want to see the marquee teams with the marquee players. If you are a network, okay, then I'm talking about network people, not necessarily talking about fans. I'm saying if you're an executive at a network, you do not want to see a Milwaukee versus uh, Texas World Series.
Yeah, well, that's what I think the problem that sports kind of in general have is that things are often geared towards a more common fan. And even though, like the hardcore fans may be like, hey, it's great that we've got an Arizona Diamondbacks versus Texas Rangers World Series.
Right,
Guarantee if you go compare the numbers of that Rangers Diamondbacks World Series versus the numbers of last year
right.
for the Yankees and Dodgers, it's night and day difference.
Yep.
All but guarantee it. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I could all but guarantee that. And so
Oh,
I think
it's not even close. I mean,
yeah,
I know the numbers, and the numbers the
yeah.
numbers aren't even. It's not even. They're not in the same stratosphere.
And I think to a certain extent, it kind of it it sucks for those teams that is the way it is. But at the
Mhm.
same time, man, those networks, like I can all but guarantee that as much as a network probably, I think if you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think ESPN would probably have the AL wild card
Right,
on.
right, for this year. Yeah.
Yeah, so ESPN is hoping and praying that the Red Sox and Yankees finish the way it is right now,
Mhm.
and they
Yeah.
get that wild card series in the same way that I think is who is it? Is it like TBS that gets the AL? I
Um, the TBS gets the AL this year,
Yeah,
and Fox gets the National League.
yeah. So TBS is sitting over there praying that things kind of shake up in the standings,
Mhm.
and maybe they can get a Red Sox Yankees ALDS or
Right.
ALCS by some measthe same way with Fox, they don't want They don't want to have Dodgers Padres in the wild card. They want to get more games out of that series.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
that's what they're praying for. As much as it sucks for other teams, like Toronto is leading the AL East right now.
Right. Mhm.
No one is talking about Toronto because no one wants to see Toronto make it that far because they don't draw the same crowd. They've got a whole country behind them, and they still don't
Yeah, I
draw.
was gonna say the numbers in Canada are good. Okay,
Yeah,
for the Jays. The as you say, if it's funny if you listen to the announcers, um, you know, it's almost as if the Red Sox and the Yankees are playing for first place.
yeah,
It's like they're not they. It's like not only are they not mentioning, they're ghosting them. So it's like okay, well, there is a team above them. You do remember that, right? So
yeah.
yeah, it's a wild situation from there.
And
Um,
they are currently both the Red Sox and Yankees are currently 3 games back of the Toronto Blue Jays for
right.
the AL
Mhm.
East.
Yep,
So
they're there. All right. Before we get out of here, um, there's a little Schadenfreude that I'm getting about the contract that Juan Soto signed
hmm
with the Mets.
hmm
Look, you are worth what the market says you're worth. I got
yep.
it. Okay.
You're worth what Scott Boras can tell other executives that other executives are going to pay for you and bounce it back and forth until he can get the biggest number.
Scott's amazing.
hmm
Nobody does it like Scott. But anyway, I just I don't dislike I don't dislike the kid. I mean, he's good. When he was in Nationals, love him. You know,
Yeah,
even whatever he did. The Padres, he kind of fell off the face of the earth out there. But
yeah,
and then with the Yankees last year, he was money.
yep.
But this year, you sign a deal that is that mammoth, and he's not putting up the numbers.
Yeah, he had a rough couple of rough. I think it was first two, maybe two and a
Yeah,
half. It's with
almost just before the All Star break.
yeah, and he's bounced back since then. He's gotten better. Obviously, he's not putting up the same numbers they did
Hmm.
with the Yankees last year. But you said exactly is you are what the market says you are, and the
Hmm.
market said that Juan Soto was a $700 million man last year. And if you Steve Cohen was desperate to make a splash.
Right.
That was his splash. It didn't feel like there was no plan B to Juan Soto. It was Juan Soto. That was what he wanted. And no matter what the Yankees and the Red Sox and I think the Dodgers were another team that was in there too were
Yeah, yeah
offer.
they tipped their foot in the water.
Yeah, yeah. And you were going to have to outbid Steve Cohen, who outvalues the other owners just in terms of pure net worth to get Juan Soto, and that wasn't going to happen. I think Scott Boras knew that was going to happen, and he had all of the leverage in that situation.
Well, look, I've known Scott. We actually did a game together um, when I was a broadcaster, and um, Scott played for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Mhm.
Never made it to the major leagues, but he was a player of the week, and so
Yeah,
we were hustling around. Our color analyst wasn't around, and they said to me, "Well, we got player of the week. This guy's name is Scott Boras. He's a nice kid. He speaks well." So we worked a game together, and and I've known Scott for a ridiculous amount of years, more than I care to divulge here. But Scott, I would be very interested in seeing what the hell the other bids were, because
yeah.
I guarantee you, none of them were even close to $700 million.
I don't think that's true. Based
Oh, I
on
know it's true because
oh
I have
well,
spoken to some people, who are involved, and they're going, "You got to be kidding me," you know. And I say
so you're
that
saying
because
they weren't 700 million.
no, no. As a matter of fact, if you go back all the way back to when he
Mhm,
had Pudge Rodriguez, right? Or I'm sorry, Alex Rodriguez,
mhm.
when he had A Rod, okay, the deal he signed with Texas, okay, was $250 million different than the money that the Mets put up.
Mm-hmm.
But in dealing with Scott, and we'll hustle out here. I got to get going soon. I'm sure you do as well. The
Mm-hmm.
the the thing with Scott in that particular situation was that Scott wanted his player to get the highest, money that has ever been paid, and he plays people. You'll never know what the other team's bid is because
Mm-hmm.
Scott doesn't do that. Scott talks to you and he keeps jacking this thing up. I will tell you the binder that was put together for Juan Soto was that thick.
Yeah.
Okay, on what he's going to do for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's Scott is an analytics guy, and you're going to get every page of a 70-page document that he is going to pay a lot of money for to get this. So you can put it on your desk and you can read why Juan Soto is going to be, a $700 million guy.
Yeah.
So I know that he knew Cohen would go to the max.
Yeah.
We didn't know what the max was going to be, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that he got Ohtani money is just mind-boggling to me.
It is. It is. One Boris client that I'm a little more personally invested in going into this offseason
Mm-hmm.
is Jeff Passan came out with the report. I think it was about a week ago at this point that Alex Bregman, barring a unprecedented slump or injury, Alex Bregman had planned to opt out of his contract in Boston, which I
Mm-hmm.
find interesting because he's getting paid $40 million this year.
Right.
That I don't think Alex Bregman on the open market would fetch that. And I also, there's one guy who people point to as they call him the tribal chief of baseball with
Okay.
Jared Carabas.
Hmm.
And he's grown up. His platform, he's diehard Red Sox, plugged
Mm-hmm.
into the Red Sox better than I think probably anyone out there. He's actually really good friends with Alex Bregman. And, maybe Alex will opt out, but according to Carabas, he said he does not think he's leaving. So I'm very curious to see how that situation is going to play out in the offseason. If he does opt out and doesn't want to leave Boston, what does that number look like in
Well,
terms of years
yeah.
and money?
I'll close it out with this. I will say this for Scott. If you are a player and you want to stay on the team,
Mm-hmm.
and you tell them I want on this team, or you even pick a team, right,
Yeah.
that I want to go to, Scott will work that deal out.
Yeah.
If you want to stay with the team, Scott will work that out.
Yeah.
If you want the max money on the open market, Scott's your man. He'll get it for you.
Mm-hmm.
The deal with Soto and the Dodgers, this one I know really well,
Mm-hmm.
was only a 4-year deal.
Yeah.
Okay, they would make him the highest paid player in baseball history for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But Andrew Friedman hates going long-term contracts. He does it a little bit, but he doesn't do it a lot. And he wasn't going to do it for Juan Soto.
Yeah. It was the two exceptions are obviously Mookie Betts and Shohei
Right,
Ohtani.
sure. But I mean, both of those players, they needed Mookie Betts at the time desperately.
Mm-hmm.
Shohei Ohtani is a unicorn. Okay,
Yep.
so since the Dodgers print money, it becomes pretty crazy. But all right, some quick final thoughts here on baseball side.
Mm-hmm.
How far? I mean, being a Red Sox fan, how far do you think they're capable of going this season? Let's put them in the playoffs. Where do they go?
They can make the World Series. Now, it depends. I think it fully depends on Roman Anthony's timeline because
Right.
I think that they can. I think that it's in the cards
Mm-hmm.
for them to make it to the championship series
Mm-hmm.
without him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that timeline of will he be back for the championship series or would he be back for the World Series? If he's back for the championship series, then I think their ceiling is the World Series. If he's not back for the championship series, I would say their ceiling is probably the championship series.
Okay.
but
Not bad.
it fully depends on that pitching staff and can you piece together some offense going into the back half of this year?
Hmm.
Like,
Well,
how do you finish?
it begins this weekend with the Yankees and the Red Sox, so we'll
Yeah.
see that. All right,
Yeah.
guys. Tomorrow is NFL Thursday Night Football on Prime Video, and it's the Commanders and the Green Bay Packers, and that should be a good football game. So
Mhm.
tune in tomorrow to find out more about what's going to happen. Coming attractions. Just got a nice text today from Spencer McLaughlin, Locked On College Football. He's going to be joining us sometime next week as we start rolling in the guests. So Spencer is a great guy. Check him out at Locked On College Football. It's all part of the Locked In network of podcasts, many of whom you will see here as they drop by to talk about different NFL teams and different colleges. So we'll have them coming up. So uh, for Matthew, I'm Jim. I appreciate you all coming by. Remember, easy thing to do, just hit the button, subscribe, and ring the bell, and we're going to be good. Leave comments down in the comments section. We'll try to answer them for you. But here we go. It's going to be a fun race to October, and it'll be very interesting tomorrow about the Commanders and the Green Bay Packers. So lots to look forward to, and we will get back to you come tomorrow. Everybody have a lovely day, and any final quick thought, real quick, before we get out of here, Matt?
Final quick thought. I would put the in terms of baseball, I would put the Padres in the World Series.
Okay.
And in terms of football, living in Athens, growing up in the state of Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
this weekend in Knoxville feels like it's nothing short of monumental,
Okay.
because it feels like this feels like it's the closest Tennessee has been to Georgia, and since Kirby's really started
Right.
his run.
Well, it's. Let's hope they're not playing Rocky Top a lot this weekend.
Yeah.
So we'll be good with that. All right, gang. Have a lovely day. We'll see you. Be well.